Hello everybody, Brett here. Welcome to another episode of TopoRanger. It's a Saturday, beginning of November here. Sun is out, and it is another beautiful day along the mighty Susquehanna. I hope y'all aren't getting tired of the river videos. For some reason, I seem to be really just doing all my videos on the river lately. I guess mainly because of the low water. And look how dry it is. Look how low the water is. Not only the water coming out of Chicky's Creek, but also the river water. Yesterday I was out filming and I stopped by Chicky's Rock on my way home. And as I was looking out over the bend here, I couldn't help but notice there was what appears to be a gravel bar or perhaps an outcrop that was extending out way into the river. That's the gravel bar right there. There's Round Top. And this whole area is like a delta as the Chicky's Creek comes out into the river. And the first thing I did today was I stopped at the Breezy View overlook, which is a really nice overlook just before you get to Chicky's Rock. And I set up my camera, I did some zoom shots from there, and I realized that the angles were playing tricks on my eyes, and it's not in fact halfway across the river. It's more like a quarter of the way, but that's still pretty far. Yeah. And you know me, I love to get out there in the river and see what's going on. So we came back today to come check this out and film it. Let's get started. There it is right there. That's the gravel bar. It looks like a gravel bar to me, not a rock outcrop. The ending is right there. So we're a little bit out now. The main part of the gravel bar goes that way, but there's a nice outcrop of the limestone that kind of juts out here too. So let's go out there and check that out. Here's a pothole here. That might be, I don't know if that's a pothole or it's not a scallop. Notice how the opened end is pointing down river. So I don't know what these are. Here you can kind of see just a little bit the color of the limestone. There are some big scallops here, little potholes and whatnot. There's the end of the gravel bar. Okay, we just got a different kind of bird. I was moving the camera up the outcrop and boom, all of a sudden like 4 or 5 of these little birds jumped out. They have a distinctive sound, but when they don't make the sound, it's almost impossible to see them against the color of the rock. I can't even see them now, and I just saw them fly over there. Let's zoom in a little bit here. We might be able just to detect movement. The heck did they go? They were right there. You see them flying there? Those birds right there. So here we have an outcrop of, I think this still is probably the limestone or the dolomite. I want to say it's called the Beekman Town, I think. And it's just got a gnarly surface. Look at these rocks here. This one is like embedded. I can't even pull that out. There's like these little hollows that are just catching all kind of stuff. There's some more little pebbles. I mean, they are just, they're in there. How long has that little pebble been in there? Now this one, you look at it, you're like, you should be able to just pull it out, but it is like in there. I'm surprised this whole thing hasn't just. All right, let's head back to the main part and go up to the end of the gravel bar. Now we're making our way to the end of the gravel bar to see just how far out it is. Yeah, right here we have two large bricks, construction bricks. It looks a lot like what they use to make the railroad bridges down here. You can see it's a finished thing. That must have washed down from somewhere, not sure where. Probably upriver. I wore my muck boots because I figured, you know, we get to the end of this thing, it might keep going in the water. Wow. Looking back along this gravel bar, right there's the railroad bridge over Chicky's Creek. Chicky's Rock. We'll do some more shots of that because this is really an angle you don't get very often. I do see a little riffles here. Nothing dramatic, but it does look pretty shallow. Let's go check that out. Heading upriver, I can make it about this far until it gets too deep. But over here, it's still shallow. Well, that water's cold. I can feel it. About 50 feet off the end of the gravel bar now. Getting a little deeper now. Whoa. I'm almost topping my boots there, so I'm not really going to go any farther. But that being said, if you didn't care about getting your feet wet, I'm pretty sure you could probably make it out to that rock. I mean, I don't know how far this goes. I'm thinking you could probably make it out to about there, maybe. I don't know though. It's hard to say without going out there, but I'm not surprised that it keeps going. I guess the bulk of the river flows through a deeper channel on that side when you're at this kind of low level. Since the leaves are changing, the coast kind of pops a little bit. You follow it all the way up around Marietta. I think that high point right there might be the Buzzard's Roost. I thought this would be a good place to plug this book, Susquehanna, River of Dreams by Susan Q. Stranahan. I think it came out in '93, so it's not necessarily current, but it's a great book if you want to learn more about the Susquehanna. She's got chapters on flooding, mining, the pollution, the logging days. I'm using the logging chapter of this book for research for a future episode on logging, and specifically logging in the Susquehanna and how they rode these timber rafts and also lumber rafts down the river. It was a whole period of time in Pennsylvania history, and I seem to reference it a lot as I'm kind of just talking about the river in these river episodes. So I want to do an episode where I give a lot more information, a lot more history about the logging as it relates to the river and the geology and the topography and the history and all that, because it's just fascinating. But it is a very good book. So I would highly recommend this book if you want to learn more about this wonderful river. So those people are on the Lancaster side, hiking down towards Chicky's Rock, which is just up to the right. And I'll shoot that in a second here. You can see the people there on the bottom. And the top right there, that's Chicky's Rock. So hopefully that shot will give you a good sense of scale. I'm just trying to figure out cool ways to shoot this, kind of capture all the good things right in this spot. We do have somebody at the Chicky's Rock main overlook right now. Appears to be a person with a hat on. So we're going to go ahead and zoom out slowly, see if we can't get a good shot. Look at that, huh? Here we come. And there he is. Now that should really give you a good sense of scale as to how high Chicky's Rock is and how big that hill is, but also how big the river is. Now, Chicky's Rock is an anticline, which is basically just an arch, where the bedrock arches. The anticline goes like this. You see that? It has that nice arc there. You see that? That's the anticline. And as usual, out on the river, when it's low, you find all kinds of stuff. This appears to be a bike frame. Yeah, there's where the pedals would be. Handlebars up there. I mean, it even has the kickstand left. How about that? You gotta wonder how long that thing has been in the river. And where did it originate from? Did it have tires on it? Was this a complete bike that was caught up in a flood? Or maybe somebody rode this into the river and they never got it back. So the question is, why is this gravel bar here? Gotta wonder. Obviously it's a shallow area in the river. How much of this stuff was transported by the creek? I don't know. To me, when the creek is flooding, I don't know if it would have enough power to push large rocks out this far. So maybe it's just a matter of there being outcrop, you know, riffle outcrops here. And then over time, as all this material comes down the river, it's just been getting caught up on these riffles, right? But then the question would be, why aren't there gravel bars like this up and down here? That makes me think that it does have something to do with Chicky's Creek, you know? Because Chicky's Creek is a pretty big creek, and when it's flooding, you would have enough power to tumble some of this stuff as bed load, which is just a term that means, you know, all the rocks and all the stuff that gets carried along in the water. Some big, some small. I imagine things this size here didn't come from the creek, rather came from upriver. Here's a piece of slag. Now you say, oh, well, that means it must come from there. But not necessarily, because you can find slag all up and down here. I mean, there is slag everywhere. 2 or 3 episodes ago, we were down there, which is essentially a slag beach. This whole area here and here, I'll see if I can't find an old photo There were huge piles of slag there, and just heading up the river. So slag here doesn't really mean anything other than there's a lot of slag on the coast of the river in these parts anyway. Maybe it's a combination. Chicky's Creek pushes out the smaller stuff. The river brings down small and big stuff. And the two just kind of combined. It also could have something to do with the bend of the river right here. So the main part of the river flows through there. So that must be a deeper channel there. Water's moving faster. And as you come around this bend, which is essentially like this, right? The water's going to slow down on this side of the bend. And because the water is slower, it can't carry as much. And it's going to deposit stuff here naturally. So maybe it's a combination of the creek being right there, but also the creek being at a specific spot along this big bend, on the outer side of this big bend, as well as the river just being shallow in general. I would have loved to come out here before Agnes and see if this looked the same, or if this is something that kind of accrued over the last, 40, 50 years. So that's a wrap for the Chicky's Creek gravel bar episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you had a good time. I know I always do. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, follow me on all the platforms, and share me on the socials. That'll help my channel grow, and I would appreciate that, all right? Soon enough, this will be underwater, and we'll be deep in winter, right? Until next time, I'll see you later.
Yeah.